is season 4 of Whatever She's Having with Linda Hoffner and
Ursula Dueria,
where we talk about being fearless, showing up for ourselves, and being a champion for other women's success.
This podcast is proudly presented by 425 Magazine, our new partner. We are thrilled about this new partnership, and the magazines believe in us as individuals, as a duo, and our message of empowering friendship.
We also want to give a shout out to our season 4 sponsor, the Sammamish Chamber of Commerce, for partnering with us to bring you this episode. Ready to lead with confidence? The Empower Her Women's Conference, hosted by the Sammamish Chamber of Commerce, is your chance to level up. Claire and I are bringing insights to help you forge supportive relationships. Join us on May 15th at the Plateau Club. Seats are filling up fast, so grab yours at sammamishchamber.org. Okay, today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Liz Galloway, a powerhouse in the world of PR, event production, and strategic brand development and marketing. Liz is the host and organizer of the TEDx Belltown Women franchise. Can't wait to hear more about that. And we are excited to partner with her at this year's event. She has won the Magellan Gold Award for Best Crisis Communication PR, Magellan Silver Award for Best New Advertising Commercial Campaign, and is an on-camera host for the award-winning Trending Today, airing on Fox Business, A&E, and Bloomberg. Wow. That is a lot.
It is a lot.
That is a lot.
Wow. I'm tired.
I know. It's so funny when you read bios or when a bio is being read about you and you're like, wow, I actually have done some things. That's pretty awesome. So first, we're so happy that you could join us today. Thank you so much for taking the time and for your support of our podcast, our mission, and the community that we are creating here. I was first introduced to you actually through another one of our podcast hosts or guests, the amazing Tangi Johnson-Bridgman. So I want to give her a special shout out. Thank you for bringing you into my circle. And with what I want to know is, with this vast array of specialized talent and skills that you have and the projects that you work on, what is a day like for you? Because I can imagine it is all over the place.
Yeah, it can be. And yay, hi, Tangi. Yeah, so it's funny. And this is like a perfect example of the powerhouse women that we all kind of know and meet through doing what we do. And her and I work on a committee together and all that. So it's a perfect example of networking.
Yeah,
and here we are.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, it can be a lot. And to be honest, it's a little bit all over the place. But what I like to do to kind of keep that more under wraps is create flow states for myself. So because it changes so much, and the one thing I can count on is it always changing or something unexpected happening. But thankfully, I'm pretty comfortable with being uncomfortable and saying, okay, we're just going to roll with that. Always starting out with a good workout in the morning to kind of,
we are the same. The morning workout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you an evening workout?
I don't work out.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't, but yes, I don't work out. Yes. I'm going to stop at that.
Okay.
I watch her work out. She work out for both of us, and I eat for both of us.
Yeah.
That's our mantra.
Okay. Well, but it's a thing though, because there's like people that are very adamant about evening workouts, morning workouts.
I don't understand those people. They're not my people.
No. So the morning, like you got your body going, and then you got your brain food ready to go for the day. And so what I like to do is kind of set blocks of time for flow states for myself, instead of kind of being pulled all over the place and losing that focus or losing that momentum and the dynamics of that.
Yeah.
So it can be anything from creating pitch decks for events that are coming up, sponsorships that we're working on, strategic partnerships that are going out, getting that out into the community and the media, or pitch decks for clients, brands, things like that, where we're making sure that they're getting seen and targeting places where they want to, be on TV, podcasts, radio, just different interviews and things like that to planning for events and all the background logistics or a press trip. So it's really just rolling constantly of different things. And of course, the TEDx things that have come up every year. Now we're doing this annually, so there's a lot of logistics with that. And then one of my big initiatives that I want to focus more on this year too is my nonprofit. And so they kind of all intersect of all the multiple different things that I do around media. So it kind of all comes together at that crossroads. And so I kind of start calling myself a multi-passionate, as lots of us do these days. And I think people understand that better instead of kind of listing off a litany of things and people kind of space off like, what do you do?
What do you do?
Like, do you do nothing or do you do something? But so that's kind of how I like to deal with my day, because there's so many multiple moving parts. But it makes it really creative and it makes it really open. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do that.
Can you tell us more about nonprofit? I love nonprofits. I mean, we both do. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes. So I definitely want to spend more time on that this year. I found out about a year or so, year and a half ago, and kind of coming back to my roots of where I spent a lot of time in wellness, both domestically and internationally, again, and then media and press and stuff around that. But it's called the Well Mind Project. And so I bring together where I used to host different retreats, which are adventure wellness retreats where we get people's minds and bodies activated. So pushing boundaries, doing those things.
Does this not sound like my perfect vacation?
Yes, it does.
My perfect vacation is not a beach and a Mai Tai. It's that. It's like, what crazy thing can I do?
Which mountain can I go on?
Yes.
Which kind of off the road type of thing. Yeah, so it's kind of taking people out of their zones and activating that type of thing. And I like to pair it with, therapists, different things where they can come back and then really push through other mental boundaries as well. And so with that, I don't necessarily host all the retreats anymore, but partner with other people to come on as partners where we showcase them and then provide a scholarship or scholarships for an individual or a couple who maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to go to some of these events or these retreats, because for some people they can be expensive. These retreats can be expensive, and logistically they really are. But providing them a scholarship where they can go and have those benefits, and then try to provide this back in support on the other end, where they're not just leaving the retreat and then I had this really great experience and all this movement, these breakthroughs, and then go home and drop it, and then it's not followed up with. So trying to kind of get that activated as well. But again, it kind of all comes back to my world of adventure, business, and wellness. I guess that intersection.
Let us know how we support. Maybe I'll start that journey with you. It's my workout journey with you. How about that? Yeah.
Okay. The next one's Kilimanjaro. So are you ready for that?
Yes, I'm going to warm you up.
I am. I'm ready.
So I've known you through the Rise Your Vibe, a group focused on celebrating women entrepreneurs. Can you tell us what the importance of support groups like that have meant to you as your journey as a successful entrepreneur and as consultant as well?
Yeah, so Raise Your Vibe, I guess, is kind of a collective, more recently grown here in the Kirkland, Bellevue area, and kind of founded by a man who lost someone in his family and kind of wanted to transition that and alchemize that into something positive and change that into more connection and bringing people together. And so that's kind of how it came about. And then I had already known some women who were connected with it, both through different pockets of lifestyle here in the area, networking and of TED last year, and came in on that. And I think the one thing that I am kind of finding interwoven, not only in my stories, but people that I'm connecting with more and more, is there's this theme that people really want this authenticity and they want these real stories. So when people say like, hey, we're going to support you, then you're going to get supported, right? Or we're going to mentor you, then that's really going to happen. Or that those people, it's a space where it's safe and they can go and say, okay, these people are going to talk to me positively to my face, but more importantly, they're going to talk positive to me about me and for me when I'm not in the room.
Yeah.
And so it's that type of interwoven story that I find is super important, and finding those pockets of people that truly have that as something that they're not only walking, but they're talking it, they're living it, and it's the truth.
Yeah. This makes me think of Claire and I were at a breakfast the other day for the Bellevue College Foundation. And on the panel, a couple of the folks were talking about how soft skills are not learned in a classroom. And there are often people don't have exposure to learn how to what those soft skills are, how to have conversations, how to tell stories about what you're doing, right? Everything that they do in their work world is very technical based. And it just resonated with me while you were talking about that group, Raise Your Vibe, and how that's the places where you can have those kind of safe environments to practice those skills, right? To learn your pitch, to be able to really learn how to have conversations about who you are and what you do with people that will help grow your business, through connections, right? So
Absolutely.
To me, I think that that's really powerful because it is true. And you think about there's not like a soft skills 101 most people don't go to college and take some kind of storytelling class, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're in journalism.
Yeah.
But so much of what we all do in any industry is storytelling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I found that another theme that kind of keeps coming up as I've had one-on-one conversations and group conversations with people is part of the desire for this, not only what's going on in our society right now, as we know multiple different things, right? But that they have experienced, and myself too have experienced, being on the other side, right? Where you are targeted or you're not included, or there's a false narrative around you personally or professionally or something going on, right? So they've experienced this, and it keeps coming up too, where that story is interwoven, and the people who they are seeking this true authenticity and want to create these safe spaces is because they've also experienced on the opposite side where they've had to deal with that too as well. And so making sure that other people don't feel that way, I think is really important.
Yeah. And then I think that like you said, it's really important to know that when they're not with you, you're still elevating them. I think that's called a true friendship, right? Because I think in this realm, sometimes in whatever industry it's easy to be going through the beginning, the hard time together, but when you rise to the top, slowly get to the success part, it's really easy to become more competitive. Because it's it's hard to figure out okay, can we shine together? Or I want to be the one who's shining the most. And that, I think that's a test of what your relationship is, your friendship is too, right? And it's so hard. And I think as women, we always have to fight for spaces and places in many realms. When we get there, how can we elevate each other and make sure we can shine together? Yes. And that's a true testimony of if we're a good character or not.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a really interesting point, Claire, because you do see a lot of that, and where women can be yes, we're in it together and we're growing and we're growing. And when the disparity starts of who's growing faster than another person, the competition kicks in. Yeah. And it becomes not such a collaborative process, right? Yeah. And then you start to see those foundations that you built just kind of crumble, and it's really sad. Yeah. But it's that fear in us, right? That if somebody's going to beat us to the top, then we're not as worthy or not as not good enough.
Ego. It comes through ego, right? So you got to kind of take a step back and ask where it's coming from as well.
True.
But it's who sings that song? That Shine Bright Like a Diamond.
Oh yeah,
I
love that song.
we all need to shine bright.
I mean, we want multiple diamonds in our lives. Okay?
Exactly.
Just one little is not enough, right?
Yeah.
So we want multiple. But as an entrepreneur, as in this realm, I'm sure you have encountered a lot of that kind of experience, right? If, when your colleague is getting ahead of you, but you're good friends, or vice versa, what do you advise our listener? Yeah. How can we, having that grounding process that, maintain that good friendship? What do you advise?
Yeah, I mean, I think a whole episode could be on that, but I think one of the main thing is if you feel yourself feeling some type of way or getting triggered about something, I think you first have to ask yourself why. Yeah. Because most of the things that we experience from people, we have to understand that they're coming from them, right? So if we're experiencing something from someone else, it's usually because that's their filter, that's their projection, that's kind of what they understand and know. Yeah. So you have to know where they're coming from, and then also if we're feeling that way, why? So first and foremost, step back and say, what's this feeling going on here? Is this ego? Is this something because I'm envious? Or is this something that I'm excited about because it's I want to do that too? Can I use it as that motivation? Can I use it as looking up to that? Can we rise up together? I look at it more that way. And I always say this to people is I don't look at things competitively. I look at them collaboratively because I think there's enough space for everybody. And it's hard to sometimes think that when you do see somebody doing something that you want to do and you feel well, I should be there already. right?
Yeah.
But everybody's pace is different. And my life is not going to be the same as your life. We might have similar journeys. We might have a lot in common, but my experience is not going to be the same as your experience. And we're not going to go the same path.
Yeah.
And so I think first and foremost is stepping back and asking yourself why you're feeling the way you're feeling and trying to take the ego out of it and come from it of just what you really want. And are you just looking at it as something because that's what success looks like to people on social media, or is it because you really want it?
True.
You know, because there's been times where I was like, oh, I think I really want to do that. And then, you know, you're there and you're like, actually, I don't enjoy this at all.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Me and Linda talk about that all the time, actually. Yes.
And just, you know, you brought up a good point too about the whole social media world, right? The highlight reel, like
Oh,
the
you
highlight
talk
reel.
about that, right? Like, and it's easy to get caught up in that, right?
Yeah.
And be like, oh, look at all the things that person's doing, and I should be doing more, and that, and instead of truly asking yourself, like, do you even care about this?
Yes.
Like, right?
Yeah.
So I like that perspective of asking yourself, like, where is this coming from? Is it something that you want to do? And if you do, then like, go kick ass with them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's learn together.
Figure out
right?
how to do it.
That's good. That's a good one. Thank you.
Talking about things in common. So you and I share a passion for adventuring, which we kind of touched on a little bit, but you take it to the extreme. And I really want to know about this international Clipper Around the World yacht race. This is very intriguing.
Where do you want to start?
What is it?
Exactly.
And like, just give us the 411 on what this incredible thing that you do. How often do you do this? All of that.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, we've kind of jokingly said like, oh, we love adventure. What's next? Should we go on the Summit reality TV
Yes.
show? Like, come on.
Oh my God.
I mean, wink, wink. I'm not really.
I'm dead
nominate you
serious.
too,
I
okay?
am there. If you ask me to be there, I am there.
Well, so email coming your way. But anyway, so I do a lot of adventures. I've done a lot of them. I think it may be something in my DNA. Maybe it's because I had older brothers who would literally create makeshift zip lines from the second roof of our house and put me on a little rope at 8 years old and slide on down. And I loved it.
Yeah.
And have my little dirt bike. So I was a tomboy. I think it's kind of always been there. I think for me, adventures, and I'm getting to the Clipper race, but I think for me, adventures it's about feeling alive and activating kind of everything inside, but also bringing play back into your life. Because like I was giving that example of my childhood, is like sometimes I forget about play and this hustle culture, right? And, you know, I've caught myself in that before too. But so for me, adventures is about bringing play back into my life as well. So last year I did the Clip Around the World race. It's something that happens every year. They come through the port of Seattle every year.
Really?
They do.
But does it start here or no?
Nope. They start in the UK. And
And
they
comes to
circumnavigate all the way around.
Wow.
So when I left, I did the leg from Australia to Southeast Asia. And then it's kind of like a relay.
So you're not on the whole
You
thing.
can, but I chose not to because that's a full year, more or
wow.
less.
A year?
Pretty much a year.
Can you do that whole year?
You know what? My sister would do it.
Yes.
Yeah, she
So
loves
that's
it.
dedication.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably be barfing half the time. I'm not as good on the boats.
I don't know about that. You're pretty much moving most of the time. You don't have to know.
She's
When
always
it gets
moving,
choppy.
yes.
though. Okay, so how many days was your
So we
stretch?
were, so with the 5,000 miles was about 5 weeks from Australia to Southeast Asia.
Oh, that's a long time,
And you go 24 hours a day. So you have shifts that you're on and you're like 4 hours on, 6 hours off, that type of thing, back and forth. You have 2 teams usually. And so you kind of cross each other in paths, like eating meals in between and that type of thing. But you're doing everything on board.
So it's like a Ragnar race on a boat.
Kind of like Ragnar, a
that's
little
really
bit. And then
cool.
if you're doing the relay, where I left them in Southeast Asia, and I jumped off of my relay part, for example, right, my leg is what they call it. Then that's when they came back around and ended up in Seattle. And then I met them. I went down to the port and met them there. Saw my old,
that's so
crewmates,
cool.
and of course we went out, and some of them that maybe got in a little bit of too much trouble, because once you get off, you like really want to go out and have some drinks and whatever, and
not be on a boat.
But so I went down and met them. But I think it's about learning about yourself. You're doing everything on board.
Was it for charity though? Is there a charitable arm for
every
this?
yacht? So there's 11 total. So we raced against 11 total. We came in 3rd place when we arrived in Southeast Asia.
Congratulations!
So out of 11, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We were 2nd, but then they kind of slid right around us. They caught a current. We caught a wind pocket. And we got stuck. But all good play. And you do everything on board, and every yacht has a charity. Ours was UNICEF. And so we raised money for UNICEF, came in, I think, second in place of the total top funds raised for our charity. So it's quite a bit. And they do partner with UNICEF every year, the Clipper. I think the Clipper's been going on about 24 years now. So they just do it every year. And now they're training for the next race, the next group of people that's out. But yeah.
Have you been like around boats and on boats your whole life?
No. And that's another thing about these adventures, as I think sabbaticals, adult sabbaticals and career sabbaticals and adventures. I'm not really a sailor. I've been on, champagne sailing and kind of like hanging out.
So how did you get on this?
So you train.
Oh
So
my
you submit your
gosh.
application, then they, you go through interviews, they, go through the process, they accept you, and then I would go over to the UK and we would do training for weeks at a time. And they put you through the process of their style of training, their style of sailing, because it's very specific. And so they have certain rotations that they do of how they run that boat, and it's running 24 hours a day.
So there's professionals on the boat with...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not all just newbies like me. So
thank God.
they're long, and of course exactly right. You're like, ooh, okay, well,
I bet she's actually thinking about it right now. Yeah. In her head, she's
like, oh, I
yeah,
could do
she's literally
that.
thinking about that right now.
yeah. So they pair people up, and the skippers and the first mates obviously are very experienced, and you trust them, but you trust in your crew, and you kind of it's dangerous. People have died on the race, but
wow.
it's
Okay.
it's a thing. But I think with anything, it was something to push my skill level. So every time I do one of these, I want to come back with another skill, right? And so that's about sabbaticals too. Is like, okay, now I know how to do that. Cool,
I want to touch on what you just said, an adult sabbatical.
Oh yeah.
Talk to us about this thing. I haven't ever heard it called that before. I can't wait to have one. How do I get one? Do I ask for it for Christmas?
You just go. You just
what
go, girl.
is an adult sabbatical?
She'd have a hard time with that,
No,
for
but
sure.
please, talk to us about this whole idea of adult sabbaticals.
I have always said sabbaticals are a thing that people should do because, again, we talk about this hustle culture and we're always pushing and these multi things because we all doing like multiple verticals of things, right? I know you guys are doing this too. It's not just me. But so it's really key to step back, get refreshed, and come back with that perspective. And it's not just for college kids and that gap year and all that. I think it's really important if you can and you have, the time and the resource to do that, to have adult sabbaticals where you're taking that time, whether it's you using your PTO or you do have the flexibility to go and do your own thing, to take a sabbatical. And I like to always pair it with a skill so that I can come back with something that I've learned and a life skill that not only is something that I'm internally pushing my boundaries and learning, more about myself and the world. But okay, now I know how to sail, and I've done other ones where I went and done my jungle survival training in Panama.
I will love that actually.
Fly
Wait, how often are we having these adult sabbaticals?
Yeah,
as many times as I can.
Really?
So this year, yes, at least once a year.
Oh,
at
I
least,
love that.
At
Oh my
least
God,
once
for
a
how
year.
long?
As long as I can go.
Oh,
so
that's
this
amazing.
last one was, pretty extensive because, they do.
Girl, you are my new hero.
I know.
I'm just going to put
it's
you on my Pinterest board. I just want to be Liz.
Inspirational board right there, your face.
Just Liz right there.
What are you doing this year?
So this year is the Rebel Rally, and it is an all-women's desert rally race, and it's with no GPS, no nothing, out in the desert, a map, a compass, and your grit.
Where
and
do you
learning how to
find these things?
So actually, one of these women has been on my radar for years, and she just spoke at our TEDx 2024 event.
Oh
She's
my
the
God.
founder, and she's an award-winning rally racer, and so I'm going to train with that this year, and the race is in October.
Oh my
Whoa.
God. Rally is what's a rally?
Four-wheel drives, just
Oh my God. In the
truck
desert with
in the desert. Yep.
And no GPS. That's amazing.
Yep, just your
Oh my
grit.
gosh.
and-
What's that movie?
Her it talks about how she got lost with one of her best friends in the Sahara and, blah, blah, blah. So it's,
You know the movie
really
I'm
good.
talking about.
Which one? Burning Man?
Yeah.
No.
Well, Burning Man's the
The
concert.
event.
But
Yeah.
what is it
based?
based off of?
Oh my gosh.
Where they're out in the
Charlie
desert.
Theron was in there. Is that you talking
Yeah.
about that one?
Yeah. Anyway.
You know what?
What? In the Sahara or just a desert in general?
I don't know. I never saw it. It's all the clips of the in the desert with
Yeah.
with the cars
Yes,
and the
I think Charlie Theron.
Oh, Mad Max?
Mad
Yes,
Max.
yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's like a
Thank
classic.
you. That's you're like duh. That's like a classic. That's what came to my mind when you
Yeah.
were like, "This is what I'm doing." I'm like,
Kind of,
"You're
yeah.
gonna be
Oh my
Mad
gosh,
Max."
Because you
cool.
have to be out there. So I think it's 10 days that you do it, and they give you like a race, and then there's a red carpet rally at the end where you rock the red carpet in your
Oh my gosh.
In your like dirt-ridden
If you
whatever
want
you
to,
look like,
yeah, sure.
are there like accommodations? Where are you
Exactly, I was
sleeping?
gonna ask that.
you're camping basically. Yeah, you're
Outdoor camping.
You get out there. It's another skill.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I always say to people, it's like I'm the one that you went around when the zombie apocalypse happens.
Seriously.
So, like,
Dude, I am calling you when zombie apocalypse happens.
I'll run with her.
all about
I'll
play.
run with her. Yeah, it's about strategy. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
I need to do that. I
Yeah.
totally need to do that. I love that. That's funny. Because the way I do like my like adult sabbatical, I take on like another new project that's completely not in my
That's not
realm.
a sabbatical.
That's how I learn. Because I need to be constantly stimulated in my brain. Otherwise, I feel like there's no challenge for me.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. I just took on a new role
Yes.
with the ED for a nonprofit.
Okay.
And so that's like my way of like, because the business is like in a very like steady growth right now. So I want to like honing down on the current branding while let the team do its thing. So I'm like going venture out, like learn new things.
Yes.
That's how I recharge
Yes.
myself.
Yes. So Claire does like mental challenges.
Yeah.
I do physical
Yeah,
challenges.
that's a perfect
And I
pair.
love that too, because like, for example, I mean, AI and how it's growing so fast. I'm
Yes.
super fascinated with it too. So
I'm
that's like
terrified.
a perfect example of like
AI.
sitting and being like, okay, I'm taking 2 weeks away, but it's all just going to be from my brain.
It's
yeah,
amazing.
I love that.
I do think like, I mean, just a little segment, like not on topic. I love it. I think it has, as long as we can use responsibly and also using like a protocol to use it, I think it's going to be changing like the face of small businesses.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think it's going to help us like thrive so much, and also nonprofit too.
Yep.
Right. And that it's just amazing. We can like have another podcast about this.
Oh, I know.
We're on this
'Cause we
completely
can just
different
move
opposite
so
about that.
fast. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's so amazing.
We probably should have a talk
We
about
should.
AI because I purposely like don't want to learn about it because it scares me. This whole like humanoid business
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
little unnerving.
Yeah.
And I'm like holding steadfast to my like, I will write it myself. No chat GBT.
So you're not going to get the Neuralink. You're not going to. No.
I love that. I would
Yeah.
be like the test. I was like, put it on me, too. Put it on me.
This is our thing. She's
Yeah.
all about the tech and I'm
I
all
love
about
it.
like handwritten like to-do lists and she's a
You
sauna.
guys are like the perfect partners.
We're
Yeah.
the perfect partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I did type
yeah.
these. I mean,
She is a good writer though. Like I think she's like amazing writer, but also like because English is not my first language. So I think like in processing the business driven, so it takes the language accessibility part out of it. So
Yeah.
anybody can copy the same
Yes.
process really easily. That part is like I'm really
I do
forward.
agree with that.
Yeah,
That's
I mean simple
amazing.
things, right?
Yeah.
I do think AI can never replace how creative a human mind is. I don't think that can ever be achievable. That's why I love your writing, my love. Oh my gosh, it's such a good writing all the time.
Oh, thank you.
I let her write. I was like, you do your thing, okay?
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, wait. We just totally got lost.
That's okay.
Oh my god.
Rabbit hole.
Okay, so what? Okay, here we are going to talk about TEDx Belltown Women. Because how did prompt you to become the organizer for that event, and what can we looking forward to this year?
Yeah, that's another big trajectory. And that's kind of like a passion project that started when I came back from the yacht race last year. And
Like,
as
what can I do now?
Exactly.
Take on the world.
Well, there's part of that, but also as a transplant to Seattle, I moved here about 5-6 years ago, right in the middle of the pandemic, right? And so typically, like when I would live overseas and move to a different country, I would always start hosting dinners and do networking events and bring people together, and I didn't have a chance to do that. And so, after being on this yacht, and of course processing lots of different things, and I knew when I was coming back, there was lots of changes happening in my life, right? And I said, I really need to get connected in my community like I normally would. And now that everything's kind of semi back to normal, why don't we do this? So I had been talking with TED for a while, and then was just emailing back and forth, and they said, you're approved. Here's your license for this. Here's your, and it just kind of took off from there. And so it also started really kind of gaining organic momentum. For example, I was, chatting with someone at one of the membership spots that I'm at, and it ended up being the founder of Seattle Magazine.
Oh, wow.
And now they're our main media partner for the TEDx Women's event. And he's super supportive, and it's great. But just organically, things like that started growing, and more people started coming about, oh my God, we need this. Like, how can I get involved in this support? And that started really kind of rolling.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute, what have I gotten myself into? but it kind of just felt right. And, I don't know, you guys are probably the same in some ways where, you kind of decide if it's kind of feels right in your gut, right? And so it kind of just all fell together. And then when we actually had the event, because so much had been going on behind the scenes, and we had that event in December last year, it just was so great to see it all come together. No flaws. It went smooth, seeing everyone on stage. I mean, it was just really great to have that. And we've had really great support from the community as well, like media pickups and people talking about it and wanting to share and get their information out there. And then just on March 8th, after lots of editing and behind the scenes stuff, our women's talks are now live on the global platform for TEDx.
Congrats.
And so,
That's so
yay,
great.
so theirs are up. And yeah, we just want to, it's just here about supporting the community. And so I think that started it, and comes back to what we were talking about earlier, that authenticity, that connection. And so for 2025, we're going to go bigger. We're going to have more seats. We can go up to 600 people, and I think we're going to push that and, bring more things on, have some more experiential things, just have fun with it. And our applications will open right around mid-April for speakers and tickets and all that fun stuff. And the theme for this year is Our Hero's Journey. So it's not about the outside journey. It's about your internal journey, how you're a hero to yourself.
Oh, I love that.
I really like that. That's amazing.
And how many of your speakers last year were local versus, because I know you can apply to any of them, right? So did you have a mix of local and non-local?
Yes, it did end up being a mix because we had people applying from Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica, all across the U.S. Because you really can. You can go to anyone as long as you're accepted and it fits the theme and it makes it right. And so 3 of them were not local and the rest were local. We had 7 total. And the ones who weren't local actually kind of rounded out the theme of reinventing realities, which was the theme last year, and kind of brought different pockets that weren't going to be filled by what we had seen come in applications for last year. And so it's just, the goal was to really have a breadth of differentiation across the stage and not just a lot of similar talks.
And do you have a speaker coach involved on your team?
Well, not necessarily on the team. We have people that we can bring in. We do work with one person who's based on the East Coast, so we've done Zooms with them, and we did a lot of practicing with that last year. But hey, if there's speaker coaches that want to get involved that are local, hey, email me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a couple. So.
We know a couple. They're really good ones.
Yeah.
I think like coach is when they have the skill set on coaching the topic, but also I think sometimes they are the biggest cheerleader of the group, right? Of the event, of the topic too. And that's like added value to the coach where not only they are expertise on the knowledge, but also they're the champion of the community. So we can bring everything even closer together.
Yes.
Yeah. I love like these days, every industry we have to be multifaceted. Otherwise we are not able to thrive and able to success, right? Because everybody is moving so fast. Everybody's moving so fast and everybody's so smart these days. And then that's exciting. That's really exciting.
It is exciting.
Yes, I love that.
I know, it's fascinating too. And that's what we were talking about earlier too, when people feel like, oh, I feel left behind. But it's like, why? Just like,
go learn.
Dive, go learn. Well, that's one of them. That's exactly right. Go learn, step it up.
Don't be afraid, right?
But it's just embracing it, right?
It's exciting. Or we can just relax too. I mean, I think it's the path that we want to pick for ourselves, right? Yeah. And I think like, when you talk about, for example, work-life balance, it's everybody's work-life balance are all different. I'm pretty sure it's between 3 of us. We could be very different as well. So it's what makes you feel good about you and bring joy to you. It's what's the most important thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you ready for
I know that
That's
I can't keep up with Claire. Like,
What are you
I have to
talking about?
know that everybody's level of like what they need in their life is different, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to remember that. And so I think it's
true.
good to remember that.
Well, we are all good at something that, the other people don't
Multiple
have.
things.
Yeah, right? Yeah. She's definitely good at so many things that
No,
we'll never
you guys
even think
too.
about it, right?
That's what I'm saying. Every woman that I'm meeting, and that's
Yeah.
what's so great about Seattle has so many, not only just women's organized events and women founders and things like that and all these things, but just in general, talking about like entrepreneurship and business. And there's so many pockets of people that meet, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about this whole phenomenon of women's like networking groups until recently. Like so many of them have popped up, and they're each like very popular in their own right, or serving the needs of that subset of people. And it's really cool to me to see that, because I know like my mom wasn't involved in any of those kinds of groups. It makes you wonder like how could our older generations have of women benefited from that level of collaboration where really we saw a lot of competition in those generations, right? And then it makes you think like, what is it that our kids are going to get to experience, right? If we've already come this far, how much more is there?
Question.
Yeah.
Well, I think our parents, they had like the Mary Kay and Tupperware parties.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
like
Well,
the
there's
social
that.
stuff, right? And, you know, maybe the next generation is just going to have all
they're going to have some
AI
kick-ass
concepts
AI party. Yeah.
communicating back and forth. I don't know.
Okay, we do a little segment here called Rapid Fire
good
Round.
one.
So you did not get these questions ahead of time. They're very fun and very, very easy. So you want me to start, Claire?
You can go for it. Yeah.
Bungee jumping or skydiving, which would you choose, and have you done either?
Done both.
Oh my God.
Skydiving.
Way better?
I don't know if it's better. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling I like better. Bungee is scarier.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so. I would rather jump out of a plane than the thought of like the lurching.
Mm-hmm.
But
You can also see the ground very close, where in the sky, you're kind of like,
it takes a while.
It's not even, let's just pretend. It's not.
Why did I know that you would have done both?
Okay. Favorite country to travel to by boat?
By boat. Like if I was going to go there
Yeah.
by boat.
Yeah.
Oh man, everywhere. The boat is the best way because you can go to all the spots. I would have to say somewhere warm, because if I'm on a yacht or a boat, I always want to jump off into the water and play and explore. So, and maybe this place like Croatia. Stuff like
Yes.
Ooh, that
that's
would be
a good
cool.
one. Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, what's worse? Speaking in front of an audience with your zipper down
my gosh.
or in front of the camera with salad in your teeth?
This is a good one.
Thank you.
I like it.
Well,
Very
since you're on
proud
the
of that
camera, I'm going to say something to my teeth, and hopefully there is not. I don't know, nothing. Yeah, I'll go with the on camera.
Yeah,
The salad?
I think so too. I think that
Yeah.
would be worse.
The salad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had that happen in board meetings.
Well,
And
I
no
told
one said
you.
anything, right?
Nobody,
Yeah, nobody said anything.
ever tells
Nobody
you.
told me, yes.
I have veneers and will often get something in them, right? And then I like go to the bathroom
Why
or
didn't you
whatever,
tell
and I'm
me?
like,
Yeah, why didn't you tell
really,
me?
girl? When we were on New Day Northwest,
Yeah.
and those onion chips we
They
ate
got
had
in there?
like some
little
parsley or
flakes. Yeah.
something. Yes.
I didn't see them.
Well, I watched it like 5 times and I couldn't see
Where
it.
was
but
it?
I was
Like, I
like,
didn't even know where
damn
was
it. Right in the middle.
Oh, I didn't even see them. I'm sorry.
So this one,
You're sending like a mad email. Hey,
I
you
know.
know what? Can you use your AI to mask that out?
Well,
I was like, thankfully I was in the like angled seat, so you couldn't really see it.
I didn't say it. She did ask me. I was like looking really. I was like, I don't see it. It must be very. I think we are always our biggest
Worst
critics,
critic.
right? And then we look
Yeah.
at the finite little things on us. You
Yeah.
know, maybe other people don't see it. You're like, oh, I can see that little dot right there.
But let me
right?
tell you, if you have something in your teeth, I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to
Please
tell
tell
you
me,
too.
please, yes.
That's
yes.
a true friend.
And zip it down too. Please
Yes.
tell us too.
Yeah.
But because some jeans they do that, okay?
Yeah.
You know, please tell each other,
Yours will
okay?
not. Okay.
Okay. What is your go-to travel snack?
Oh man, huh?
I'm always curious.
Some type of nuts, probably. Just something simple.
I love
Yeah.
nuts too. Yeah.
And actually, it's probably not even food. It's usually just like juice or something like a cucumber water or some type of smoothie, juice, something like that. Because for me, that's like a good travel type of thing.
Yeah.
And
She's way too healthy.
and it keeps me full. Well, you know, sometimes.
Okay, what's yours?
Peanut butter pretzels.
Oh,
Those Trader Joe's.
I actually ate all of them
Yeah.
already.
I don't even have to put them in a separate bag like Meghan Markle. I can just carry the Trader Joe bag with me.
Yep. But you are going to need some drinks with that because those will make you
They do
get
dry.
stuck.
They do.
Yeah.
They
do
do
get
make me
stuck. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
All right. We end every episode with a quote.
Yeah.
So this one I found was from Maya Angelou.
Oh, that's-
I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I love that so much because I think sometimes we focus on saying the right thing or memorizing lines in a speech, you know, for example, for TEDx, right? But so much of what people really take in is how they're left at the end of their interaction with you or at the end of your speech. And so I think that's important to remember that we really have an impact on how people feel.
Yeah, agree.
I love that. That's kismet that you chose that one because it kind of intertwines with like so many things we touched on today of, you know, making sure that people feel safe and included and how you lead them. Yeah, I think that's so cool.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
we'll leave you now with that. See you next time.
Bye.